The biggest mistake you make when fasting isn't during the fast, it's how you break your fast. It'll determine whether the fast is going to heal you or harm you. When you're fasting, you're resetting your immune system, you're lowering inflammation, you're burning fat on your body for energy, you're activating your body's healing potential. So it's important to make sure that you are eating the right foods, because the moment you put food in your mouth, your body is very sensitive. So that's why in this video, we're gonna talk about the foods you should eat, the foods you should not eat when breaking your fast, and all the different styles of fasting from 16 and 8 to 1 meal a day to even a 3 to 7 day water fast, and how you will break your fast and what food you'll eat during those fasting times. So let's go ahead and dive in. But before we do, I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski. As always, it's a pleasure hanging out with you guys in another video. I wanna first look at why breaking your fast matters so much. Well, it matters because when we're fasting, we lower our insulin levels, our body switches to a fat burning mode. So we're burning the fat on our belly, on our arms, all that fat you want to get rid of on your body's burning it for energy during this time. Autophagy is activated, meaning that your body's breaking down those old, bad, even potentially cancerous cells, recycling them, turning them into new healthy cells. Your body's flushing out electrolytes, resetting your gut lining. And then when you eat again, your body acts like a dry sponge. Your body is going to soak up whatever you give it. So this is why your food can either act as medicine or poison. So let's go ahead and look at the first fasting length of 16 and 8. So if you were doing a 16 and 8 intermittent fast, how would you break that fast? Well, the first thing that we want to make sure that we are focusing on is eating good healthy proteins. We're eating some good healthy fats and some veggies during this time. So for me personally, what that looks like is a good healthy chicken salad. We got the protein in the chicken, we got the salad, which is going to be, or the mixed greens, let's say, and it's going to be a good veggie. And then we can put some olive oil on that. It's a good healthy fat, okay? So we want to make sure that we're checking those boxes. We're getting the proteins, the fats, the vegetables. And then typically for me, and also what I recommend for everyone else, is not to add your carbs in at your lunchtime, but instead add your carbs in at nighttime. The reason for this is because adding in a bunch of carbs at lunch, what you'll find is that it creates more energy issues, a higher potential for crashes, and you may just not feel that well with it. Instead, if we put our carbohydrates at night, it actually has some positive impacts on our hormones. It also will improve our quality of sleep. So it's not that we want to go no carb, it's just that let's not do the carbs during that first meal that we break our fast with, but put our carbs at night instead, and it will have a positive impact on our body. Now, let's go ahead and move over to 1 meal a day. So 16 and 8 in 1 meal a day, we're gonna actually break that fast in a very similar manner. But because we're just doing the one meal, what I like to make sure I'm doing is eating my fats, my proteins, and my veggies. Whenever I eat veggies on 1 meal a day, I'm always eating them steamed. The reason for this is because when you eat raw vegetables, they're harder for you to break down. When you eat steamed vegetables, it's easier on your digestion. If you're doing all your meals in one meal, which there's a lot of benefit to, if you're doing that, we have to make sure that our gut can handle it, okay? And I also like to spread that one meal out over the course of 2 hours. Some of the 1 meal a day purists, they say your 1 meal a day must be within a 30 to 60 minute window. I don't believe that. I don't think that you need to slam your body with food and then it become uncomfortable. So what I like to do is do the 1 meal a day, that one meal over the course of 2 hours. Now, another specific point I want to mention is that when I add my carbs in to the 1 meal a day, and yes, I'm adding carbs in because carbs have benefits to the body, and carbs are going to help your hormones and also help you sleep better, as I mentioned earlier. I like to add the carbs last. There's a reason for this, because when you eat fats and proteins and veggies first and then eat the carbohydrates last, the studies show that you're going to get a lesser amount of blood sugar spikes. You're going to have a lower glycemic level throughout the body. So therefore, put the carbs last. It's not that you need to remove them altogether. You can still have carbs, but just put them last for the best benefit. Let's break down a few specific foods that I like to focus on before we get to looking at the 3-day fast, the 48-hour fast, the 7-day water fast. And I want to focus on the proteins first, because when we consume proteins, and fats fall into this category too, you're going to find that it's going to help stabilize your blood sugar. It's going to prevent muscle loss and even help with the stress hormones, turning them off. It's going to support your metabolism metabolism. And every study out there shows us that if we want to have a good functioning brain, if we want to promote longevity and lean muscle, we have to make sure that we're getting the proteins and also the good healthy fats. Some of the best proteins that I like to focus on are going to be the grass-fed beef, the wild-caught fish, chicken, turkey, eggs. I even like to add in bone broth, okay? Bone broth isn't a huge source of protein. However, you can get some protein from it, and it also just has a good healing benefit for the gut lining as well. Now, as we look at the healthy fats that are some of my favorite go-tos, we're going to include avocado, olive oil, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee, also coconut oil and fatty fish, which falls into like the protein and fat category altogether. I like to make sure I'm avoiding vegetable oils. I know that there's plenty of controversy out there on the internet about vegetable oils. Personally, because there's controversy on it and because there are plenty of good healthy fats you can have, I have no reason to believe that you need to even consider eating the different vegetable oils. I think you should avoid them altogether and stick to the good healthy fats that we know are going to nourish your body well. And then when we get to the vegetables, I also like to make sure that I'm eating the cooked vegetables. Remember, because it's easier on the gut lining. When we're fasting, we're resetting our gut. We're resetting the microbiome. We're lowering inflammation in the gut. So let's not overwhelm the gut with things that are hard to digest. Raw vegetables and also nuts and seeds are very hard for our guts to digest. So after fasting and the gut is sensitive, I like to have zucchini, spinach, mushroom, squash, also carrots and cabbage. And anything that falls into that cruciferous category is going to be good, but make sure that you're steaming it because it's going to be easier for your body to consume. I also want to point out at this point in time, it's very important to make sure that you're getting plenty of minerals and electrolytes. Minerals and electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, magnesium, they're very important because when you're fasting, your body is flushing these out, and it will be a key to your success with fasting. I don't ever approach 16 and 8 intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day, 3 to 7 day water fast without having electrolytes with me, okay? Certainly you can take some salt, sprinkle it in the water, stir it up, and you can drink it that way. I personally like to use these fasting electrolytes, the Electrolyte Performance, and I'll put a link in the description below. I use these anytime I'm fasting, and even when I'm not fasting, because they help me feel so much better. If you're not getting enough electrolytes when you're fasting, your brain's going to shut down and you're just going to feel that brain fog hit. You're going to find that you have no energy. You're probably going to get some pretty nasty headaches, even migraines, muscle twitches. So make sure that you're getting the electrolytes. The electrolytes are important. They're a very important piece of the success that you will have when fasting. So get your electrolytes. And like I said, I'll put a link in the description below to what I personally use, the Electrolyte Performance. They're fantastic for anyone who's fasting or exercising and just trying to get your electrolytes up in any way. Let's move to the 24 to 48 hour fast now that we covered the foods that you should eat. With the 24 to 48 hour fast, we have to be very gentle on our guts, reintroducing foods, and also our just metabolism as a whole. At this point in time, our hormones are very sensitive, as I said from the onset of this video. So we want to break our fast with, let's say, bone broth, eggs, then give about 30 to 60 minutes after we introduce some form of food into the body, and then add in some of the proteins and the fats and the steamed vegetables. At this point in time, we have to make sure that we're going easy on our digestion. So we're going to have a light meal. And then we're going to eat the proper foods because our hormones are paying attention to what we do. We want to stabilize and come out of this fast with healthy foods because hormones like ghrelin, which is going to tell you when you're hungry, or leptin, that's going to tell you when you're full, or insulin, that's going to spike up when your blood sugar goes up, they're all paying attention. And if you storm your body with foods that are unhealthy at this point because you haven't fasted in a while, let's say you crush that fast with a pizza, well, your hormones are going to go nuts, and as a result, you're setting the stage for more inflammation, instability in your diet, overeating, blood sugar spikes, and all the rest. So make sure that you're making the wise choices to eat correctly when you're breaking your fast. Let's go to a 3 to 7 day water fast. And this is where it becomes the most important to break your fast correctly. I'm typically going to break my fast with bone broth. I like to do this because it's going to help the gut lining. It also is very nourishing. You're going to get some collagen in there. You're going to get some electrolytes. Across the board, it just helps start the digestion up again. So bone broth is great. You're also going to want to start adding in some fermented foods. The reason I add in fermented foods at this point in time is because the fermented foods are going to be rich in enzymes and probiotics. It all helps your digestion. Remember, your digestion is basically shut down for a few days. The gut lining is resetting. The microbiome is resetting. That means the bacteria within your gut. Your body's killed off bacterial species, yeast, fungus, also even potentially parasites at this point in time. Let's make sure that we're not feeding these bad pathogens in our gut. So the steamed vegetables are going to be another great way to go. We're going to then support our body with healthy proteins, healthy fats, and those veggies. What I like to add in during this time is a stew of some sort, like a bone broth beef stew, a bone broth based chicken soup, vegetable chicken soup. These are all great because they basically check all the boxes, and then you add in those fermented vegetables and you're all set to go. You're gonna go pretty light. And this is gonna be day one when you break your fast. So let's say you come off of a 3-day, 7-day water fast, that's day one. We're going light, we're eating small portions. Day two, we're going to want to add in more fats and more proteins. And for the most part, we're still going to want to avoid sugar altogether and carbohydrates. But what we can do when we move to day 3, we can start adding some more carbs in because our goal is not to be carb free here. And we can start adding more sugars in the form of, let's say, low glycemic, high micronutrient dense fruits, such as strawberries, raspberries, blueberries. Anything in that berry category will fit the bill here. So therefore, we're going to go day 1, day 2, and then day 3. In day 3, the big difference is that we're starting to add in the carbohydrates and a little bit of the natural sugars from, let's say, fruit. And so this is going to be why all of this works, okay? After fasting, your insulin is extremely sensitive. Your gut is going to absorb nutrients faster. Your cells are going to put nutrients into them more aggressively. We have to make sure that we are putting the right foods in our body for deep cellular cleaning. Now, the question is, what foods should you avoid? Well, the foods that you should avoid when you break your fast are going to be foods like sugar, breads, pastas, bagels, fruit juices and smoothies. A lot of people will go to the fruit juices and smoothies, but we don't want that big insulin spike, that big blood sugar spike as a result of it. Alcohol, obviously, fried foods, vegetable oils, and processed carbs. We do not want to drive inflammation in our body. We don't want to start putting our body into a place of fat storage. We don't want to irritate our gut any further. And we also don't want to start retaining a whole bunch of fluid and water because we just came through a fast. Okay, so breaking your fast is important because it sets the stage as to what your health will be for the next 7 days, the next month, the next year. So break your fast appropriately every time and be disciplined in this action. Be disciplined because it will be the transformative aspect of the fast that ripples through for months to come. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and if you love this video, I bet you'll love this one next.